Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Senior Fellow at the Media Research Center. Something just happened last week that is kind of different. Yeah, okay, so the progressive socialist left went into another apoplectic, unhinged meltdown. But this time it was a little bit different because the meltdown was not really about President Donald Trump, it was about themselves. As a matter of fact, all you had to do was tune over to CNN and you could see James Carville, the political advisor of President Clinton, or you could tune in to him on MSNBC, and he went nuts.
There's a certain part of the Democratic Party that wants us to be a cult. I'm not interested in being in a cult. I'm 75 years old. I'm just not a very culty person. Some people in this country want a revolution. They want disruption. I don't know what, they scream at people. They go and bully people. And I don't know how you win an election. I'm 78 years old, standing up screaming in a microphone about the revolution. These people are perfectly happy to beat Jeremy Corbyn. They were all campaigning for him. They were taking pictures and everything. I mean, good God, we got to do something here, people.
All because of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is at the front for the Democrat presidential nomination coming out of Iowa and, of course, New Hampshire. We'll see what happens in Nevada and, of course, when you go down south into South Carolina, which is where old Vice President Joe Biden is just banking that people will save his campaign down in South Carolina. But when I think about what is happening with the progressive socialist left right now and where they are, they're waking up to understanding that, well, this whole socialism thing is not going to work. It reminds me a little bit of back when all of a sudden Coca-Cola decided, sales aren't going so well, so let's try something different.
What's been called the worst marketing disaster of all time.
Coca-Cola Company will tell a thirsty world it's putting a smoother, sweeter taste into the most instantly recognizable bottle in the world.
It was the day Coca-Cola announced New Coke.
And see, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, I knew a lot about Coca-Cola. I used to sell Coca-Cola at the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium for the Braves baseball games. And I can tell you there was nothing better than to go out and give someone a nice cold Coca-Cola. But then New Coke came along.
The incredible has happened. The impossible has become a reality. Coke actually tastes better than ever before. Yes, Coke has a new taste. And I'm standing here with this ice-cold, thirst-quenching, deliciously satisfying Coca-Cola, and it actually tastes better.
Let's be very honest. It sucked. But see, what you see happening right now, the Democrats trying to come up with this thing called socialism, and they're trying to say that it's a new kind of socialism. It's not like the old socialism.
A different path, a higher path, a path of compassion, justice, and love. And that is the path that I call democratic socialism.
But the thing is, it still sucks. So I think I will take just a few moments to describe what socialism really is. I don't care if you think that you're going to change the ingredients, you're still going to get the same end result, a bad taste in your mouth. See, wealth redistribution is what all of these Democrat candidates are talking about. It's not just Bernie Sanders. You listen to Pete Buttigieg, you listen to Amy Klobuchar, you even listen to Michael Bloomberg. And they're all talking about taking from one group and redistributing it to another, their wealth, their resources. Where has that ever been successful? As a matter of fact, all you have to do is dial up Venezuela or look at Cuba and you can see that it has never been successful. And it's happening right now. But yet they still want to use that as an ingredient in their new socialism. It's going to be the same old socialism. They all talk about bringing economic production under the control of, well, the government. Think about this. 1/6 of our nation's economic production is the healthcare industry. And yet you have folks that are talking about Medicare for all, healthcare is a right. When was the last time we heard anyone come out and say that, well, some private sector, something was a right to everyone? It was when Jimmy Carter said that everyone in America had a right to own a home. The Community Reinvestment Act was his policy that put that to paper. And what ended up happening 30 years later was the financial meltdown, which was tied back into the mortgage crisis, which you can take all the way back to what Jimmy Carter said. Everyone has a right to own a home. And then, of course, look at all the government-sponsored agencies and enterprises like Fannie and Freddie Mae. Look at the subprime mortgage crisis. Look at all the things that has happened. All because some idiot, well, okay, he's not maybe an idiot, but
the impact of our efforts has had and will always have varied results.
Decided that owning a home was a right. And so now these people are going around talking about healthcare is a right. Just another bad taste that's going to be left in our mouths, and it will implode eventually. The other thing about socialism, whether it's old, new, or whatever, is about, well, you have to have a welfare state. You have to have people that are dependent upon it. And guess what? We've been down this path. We've been on this path since 1965 with Lyndon Baines Johnson and his Great Society programs, his war on poverty. Remember that pronouncement that he made during his State of the Union address?
And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
People talk about the war in Afghanistan as our longest running war and that we're not being successful. Nah, war on poverty is the longest running war.
And I urge this Congress and all Americans to join with me in that effort.
If we were waging a war against poverty, then why do we still have people in poverty? As a matter of fact, thanks to President Donald Trump, we have people coming off of the poverty rolls. But that's not what the other side wants. They want people dependent upon them, because if people are dependent upon them, they're going to vote for them. Remember that a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until a time, well, when the electorate realizes they can vote their own largesse from the public treasury. In other words, people will always vote for the person that provides them the most benefits. And that's where we are in America today. And that's what Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Michael Bloomberg, Amy Klobuchar, that's what they're all talking about. The next thing is social egalitarianism. Everybody's equal. How interesting it was that in the House of Representatives that government, legislators, they tried to create something called an Equality Act. Since when did the government think that they could make us all equal? But that's part of what socialism is all about. This economic model that believes it can redistribute wealth and make us all the same. What ends up happening is just the same as Winston Churchill said, an equal sharing of misery. See, America is about an equality of opportunity that says no matter where you're born, no matter where you come from, whatever dreams, aspirations, goals, and determinations you have for yourself, you can achieve them here. We're all dreamers in America, not just a certain group of people that fit a certain ideological agenda. And they believe in an equality of outcomes, which is what they all want to see happen. And lastly, secular humanism. If our Creator God is not the one that endows you with your inalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, because he's being removed from the open marketplace of the United States of America, our Judeo-Christian faith heritage is being undermined, who would have ever thought that a guy like Jack Phillips from Colorado, just a simple guy that bakes cakes and pies and things of that nature, pastries, would have to go before the Supreme Court to defend his very first right, this enshrined in our Constitution, the freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. But when the progressive socialist left, the secular humanists decide that their ideological agenda is a religion, then you see where it ends up. See, New Coke failed. And what Coca-Cola realized was they just had to go back to the original formula. And they went back to classic Coke. See, socialism, old, new, whatever, it's never going to work. The ingredients are always going to fail. It will always leave a bad taste in your mouth. But when you go back to classic Coke, which is constitutional conservatism, America, you will always have success. You will always have prosperity. And you will always have a good taste in your mouth.